hope you do right. I hope we live right. All right, welcome to the program. It's VOP This Morning, and I am Moses Humphrey. Well, of course, over the next 2 hours, we will be looking at a few things that have been happening around Nigeria and the world. And we'll be checking out stories from the dailies very shortly, and also dissecting some other issues on our radar this morning. But first, on our radar this morning, of course, is the issue in Rivers State. Fubara orders fresh local government elections, direct heads of administration to take over. Oh well, this and more we will focus on this morning. Welcome and stay with us.
Yes, good morning, Moses, and thanks for reminding me that Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. I'm going to observe my Lent to the fullest this year.
This year?
I promise myself.
Amazing.
Oh, well, good morning and thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. I am Chukwuma Okoro. When we move away from Rivers State, we'll go to the National, where electricity workers have accused the Minister, Adelabu, and the NERC, that's Nigerian Electricity Regulations Committee, NERC, of prioritizing tariff hike over service delivery, even as NLC threatens to lead mass protest if the federal government increases tariff in disguise with the band A, band B, band C, or whatever they call it. Oh well, those are the major topics of discussion. But before we move on, we encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. You also follow us on other social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. You can also visit our website, www.vop.ng, for fresh and trending news stories. You can also share your views by calling in or sending WhatsApp messages to the number showing on your screen. Now the number is 0904-473-2605. Moses is talking about trending stories.
Oh yes, talking about trending stories. I've been asking the question, when will Alao Dam be reconstructed? Well, that question has been answered. Alao Dam reconstruction, the federal government has launched the reconstruction and upgrade of Alao Dam in Maiduguri, Borno State. Well, do recall that the federal government, in September 2024, there was a collapse. There was a heavy rain, flooding, and that dam collapsed. Well, the federal government, in collaboration with the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, has officially launched the reconstruction and upgrade of Alao Dam in Maiduguri, Borno State. Also, to address the persistent flooding, the Ogun State government has unveiled plans to develop additional tributaries and outlets for the Ogun River across the wetland border towns of Isheri, Kara, Wawa, and Arepo. Oh well, starting off with Alao Dam. Now, we know that money was raised. A lot of individuals, the state government donated 10 billion. Yes, 10 billion naira was donated by the state government. Individuals gave monies, and everything came up to 18.2 billion naira. Realized after people died in that flooding, it was a disaster. It was a terrible one. 150 people died in that flooding. 419,000 people were displaced, and then they had to start living in IDP camps. And 18.2 billion naira was realized. Well, I don't understand how the money has been used, because the government said they have disbursed monies to religious organizations, to clinics, to schools that were affected. Monies have been disbursed. That's what I hear. But another 80 billion has been set aside for the reconstruction of Alao Dam. And I did a little digging. If you want to construct a dam from scratch, you will be spending a whole lot more than that. But we know that this is not a construction from scratch. This is basically fixing up broken parts and patching it up. And I do hope that this will be properly done. Now, I worry to the fact that a time frame has not been fixed for the duration of time that this will take. I worry over that. But I hope this is done in good time, and irrigation is facilitated, because the rains will be coming on very shortly. And we do hope that we don't see a repeat of what happened in September last year in Maiduguri, Borno State.
Yes, Moses, talking about what happened last year, I think our problem is that we don't ask questions as a people, not you and I, because journalists do ask questions, but the people, as a mass, citizens, they don't ask questions. What happened to the 18 billion naira that was raised? Has any school been rebuilt? Has any estate been rebuilt? The people that were displaced, have they returned home? These are the questions that we need to ask. And another big issue for me is, has the naira so worthless? You know what 80 billion naira is? Not one, not two, not three, not 10. 80 billion naira for the reconstruction of a dam. What is a dam in the first place? And I understand that we have about 323 dams across the length and breadth of this country. And out of that number, about more than 40 or 60 of them are comatose, in the state of disrepair and all of that. And we are putting out 80 billion naira for the reconstruction of a dam. I don't get it. I'm not an engineer, but I have seen dams too. I have gone through, I think I've passed Shiroro and all of that at some point in time. And I'm beginning to imagine how much should it take us to reconstruct Alau Dam. But it is good that it is happening now. They say that prevention is better than cure. The rains will soon come. It drizzled in parts of Lagos. In fact, it rained in parts of Lagos the other day. And it's a signal that the rainy season is just by the door. But just be careful so that we don't come back next time, this time next year, to talk about one dam that collapsed, one dam that broke down, and there was flooding, and people are displaced. The people that are displaced have not been returned. Hundreds of thousands of Nigerians are refugees in parts of Niger, Cameroon, and Chad. And the government is making arrangements to return them back to return them to Nigeria. It's a good thing. My concern is, let that money be very well utilized so that we'll just move past this situation and not talk about it again. Because I think this is about the third time back to back that we are talking about Cameroon opening the dam and allow getting flooded, and Borno State getting flooded and all of that. It's not a very sweet story. We shouldn't talk about it again.
No, it's not a sweet story. Before we move on, I just want to add, aside from the 18.2 billion naira that was recovered, and the government said they disbursed 18.8, they added a little extra to it, disbursed, that's not inclusive of the international aid support, the international aid that came. $6 million was gotten from UN's office, that's United Nations Humanitarian Fund, and 50 tons of food supplies from the UAE. 50 tons of food supplies from the UAE was also contributed to relief efforts. Now, what happened to those things? Can the people say truly that they got some sort of relief food? People in IDP camps.
Moses, you recall too that a certain money from the ecological fund.
Oh yes.
A certain money from the ecological fund and Northwest got in excess of 8 billion naira. That's them last year. So if you put all of these things together, we are talking in excess of 120 billion naira. Just for one dam. Just for one dam. Oh well, we have to move on. Now, banks have commenced the implementation of the new automated teller machine ATM transaction fee charge on customers following the Central Bank of Nigeria's directive. Customers have lamented that the implementation will only affect the poor masses who were struggling to make a living. I complained to you the other day. I just woke up and what I saw from my account was 1,200, and they say there is FG, federal government. FG means federal government. Yes. They just wrote FG. They didn't tell me what that FG meant, but I know that it is federal government. They said FG levy on this and that. 1,200. Moses, imagine that a bank has 1 million customers and they deduct 1,200
from each person. Like 5 million.
Just in one.
You know, we've always joked about, I think when Buhari was in office, there was this joke that if 500 naira or 1,000 naira was to be deducted from your account to support the government, what will you do? You know, people will say a lot of things. We've joked about this for a long time, but we are beginning to see it happen.
It is happening.
We're beginning to see at least similar things happen.
Honestly. And we are even dealing with the increase in POS and all of that.
Now, the troubling thing is when this announcement was made, POS operators, I would say, swung into action and started deductions. Deductions increased immediately. From 100 naira, from 100 naira to from 100 naira
for 5,000
for 5,000 to 300 naira for 200 naira for 5,000, 400 naira for
10,000.
10,000. And now they want to commence implementation. I will not be surprised if POS operators increase theirs again, because even the amount charged by POS operators is dependent on the area that you're in. There are certain areas you go to knowing fully well that POS operators are pretty scarce, and then ATMs are not even in sight. The charges will be a whole lot more.
And you see the problem. Why do people resort to POS? People resort to POS because the bank apps are not working. The USSD in the bank app is not working. If you want to do direct USSD. Now on Saturday, I did a transaction of 40,000 naira. I just wanted to send money to two people, 40,000 naira. You know how much I paid? I paid 1,800.
Whoa!
You know why I had to do that? Because my app wasn't working. My app wasn't working. The USSD wasn't working. It tells me, in fact, they said I've been logged out of network for more than 3 hours. And these people were waiting for the money, critically for something very important. And we have these banks are living here to go to France to open shop. So what's that supposed to mean? It tells me
it means you're taking
that the CBN is not on top of its jobs in terms of regulation. Regulating the activities of these banks. The banks are simply ripping Nigerians off. And unfortunately, we don't have a solid mass of people. Nigerians are not united in saying, look, this thing shouldn't happen. If you go to bank to complain and you raise issue about 1,000 naira that was deducted from your account, people in the bank will just turn and look at you.
Is it only you?
It's only you. How much self? Oga beg, wait, make we do a bit. People are in a hurry to move.
We are classists.
We don't care. Nigerians don't care. It's quite unfortunate. And the moment we begin to ask questions, the better for us, because I keep talking about building a culture of impunity. If you build a culture of impunity, it becomes very difficult for you to reverse that trend. If a society is patterned according to certain lines, when abnormality becomes a norm, it takes a Herculean task for you to make a reversal. By the time you want to make a reverse, people will be, but it has always been like, the thing about tradition.
Oh, yes.
When tradition comes to stay, it becomes difficult to change, even if it's a bad one. Quite unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. And you see, this that has persisted has increased anger in the land. And it takes us to our very next story. In Bauchi State, the police command is investigating the tragic death of a 24-year-old woman allegedly beaten to death by her 50-year-old husband. And this happened during a domestic dispute. Now, she was the second wife. Well, it happened over a domestic dispute over Ramadan meal preparations. Now, the CSP, Ahmed Wakili, the command's spokesperson, stated that the incident occurred at around 11:30 p.m. in the Fatherman Mada area near Government Girls College, Bauchi. Well, basically, it is frustration. Now, this woman we hear is the second wife to this old man, and there was argument as to the fruits to be used to break the fast, and the meals, and all of this on the very first day of the fast. Why it's so aggressive, if not for the fact that there is frustration in the land. There is frustration in that. Well, meanwhile, Kano State Governor Awa Yusuf has urged business owners to lower the price of essential commodities. And all of this aims to help Muslims observe Ramadan with greater ease. Well, it shouldn't just be Muslims, Nigerians, of course. Well, what we see happen most times is the price of fruits and everything else spikes during Ramadan fast because they know that you need these things. So the price goes up. It's very unfortunate. And talking about domestic violence, I think it will do us a lot of good if individuals learn to calm down and maybe count to 10 before they react. There was another story also reported that happened some days back as well. I think the last days of the previous month. And this one happened in Lagos, where a 23-year-old man beat his 25-year-old girlfriend to death over disagreement. They had a disagreement late in the night at about 2 a.m. Neighbors overheard her screaming. And then by morning, the young man cried for help. Out, like, look, he touched her and she couldn't move. And then he cried for help, but he's been arrested. So there's a lot of anger, pent-up anger, all of it majorly from lack. Nigerians are, rather than take out your anger on the government, and it's even worse because you see government officials living extravagant lifestyles, driving in convoys and the rest, and the people that supposedly voted them into power, the people that they are there to supposedly represent, are suffering. I think our government, our politicians should have a heart. They should have a conscience and give to the people what the people deserve, which is a good life. That's my take.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that that woman had to die in that manner. But I keep saying that I think Karl Marx had Africa or even Nigerians in mind when he said that, look, religion is the opium of the masses. And a certain man too, I think anonymous, I can't remember his name, said that, look, religion is what makes the poor not to kill the rich. That's his definition of religion. We are so fanatical in religion. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not telling you to be like me. I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm not quite religious. Don't be like me. When something gets to the level of fanaticism, it becomes very dangerous. Exactly what happened between that man and the wife. Whatever will have led to that is quite unfortunate. But we are dealing with a lot with the issue of religion, with the issue of Ramadan, with the issue of Lent and all of that. Look at what happened in Katsina State. Look at what happened in Kano State. Look at what happened in Borno State, where the governor had to declare a 5-week-long break for schools, primary, secondary, university, private, public, or whatever, shut down for 5 weeks to enable students observe Ramadan fast. What is that supposed to mean? Saudi Arabia is more religious than us in terms of the Muslim religion they practice. Qatar, Bahrain, all of those Middle East countries, we have not heard that any of them had to shut down schools for 1 week, for 5 days, for 5 weeks to enable students observe Ramadan. The illiteracy level of Saudi Arabia is about 90%. That of Borno State in Nigeria is less than 37%. And we are shutting down schools so that students will observe Ramadan. It's good that the parents pointed out that, look, after this break, a whole lot of children will become out-of-school children. They will have dropped out of school because they will have gone into one thing or the other. But the governor is not listening. I don't know what the governor wants to achieve. Some people have ascribed it to his political ambition, his presidential ambition. If you want to be president, must you ride on the crest of religion to achieve that? Our fault lines are already large, and the gulf is wide, and you are trying to increase it by your actions and inactions, what you're supposed to do and what you are not supposed to do. And what happens to Christians in that state? People in Bauchi State. So what would they do? What would they be doing at home? Religion is supposed to be a private thing. You force a child that is 6 years, 7 years to embark on a fast. For what reason? Is it not supposed to be a thing of choice? Unfortunately, Hisbah has also said, in Kano State, or yes, in Katsina, the Hisbah police said, look, shut down all schools. They must observe Ramadan for 2 weeks. What is that supposed to mean? And tomorrow, a child that's from Anambra State or Abia State scores 129 in Unity Schools exams, he cannot get admission. But a child from that same Katsina that shut down schools for 2 weeks, a child from Bauchi State that shut down school for 5 weeks, scores 29 and that person gets admission, and you want to build a Nigerian nation. You cannot do that. Try. As hard as you can, you can't do that.
Indeed, it's laughable. But I'm not just going to blame the governor or the politicians now. I'm going to blame the people. We like holidays. We like holidays. We jump at it. We always find, if government declares a holiday, people just sit at home and say, thank God, we can rest.
Well,
that's
it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. If they don't give the holiday, we will not take it. You and I, do we have holidays? We don't have holidays.
No, we don't. It's the profession we chose. Yeah, but, it's interesting. Well, we wish them the very best. Like you said, we are very religious people, and it's really unfortunate because it's affecting development in Nigeria. Oh, well, let's move on to other stories now. We'll take a later break. When we come back, we'll be looking at stories that made it to the cover page of the dailies. That's a newspaper headlines. Join us again.
It's Ramadan. It's the season of sharing and caring. As Muslim faithfuls all over the world pray and fast, may peace reign all over, especially in troubled regions. Allah's blessing to us all. May the supplication of every sincere heart be heard. Ramadan Kareem.
All right, welcome back. So it's newspaper headlines. Now let's dive into it very quickly. We have, of course, the story. The issue of Rivers State is in most of the dailies, but from the Nigerian Tribune, it's the banner headline, right? Nigerian Tribune reads, Fubara to implement Supreme Court verdict, orders LG chairman to hand over, asks heads of LGAs to take over council administration. And then we have NLC threatens mass action over telecoms, electricity tariff hike. Alleged sexual harassment, we have no petition against Akpabio, Senate. Media aid faults Saraki. All right. And then some of the headlines here. Dangote to refund customers who purchase PMS above advertised rates from key partners. Well, there was one in Ikorodu area of Lagos. Elumelu commits to boosting Gabon's infrastructure, youth empowerment. Elumelu commits to boosting Gabon's infrastructure, youth empowerment. Okay. Why I didn't implement 2014 confab recommendations. Jonathan, is he going to write his own memoir? Pays condolence visits to Ayo Adebanjo's family. Atiku, during visit, says Adebanjo's death a monumental loss. New ATM fees, customers groan as banks begin implementation. Direct CBN to suspend ATM fee hike. Pending court verdict, Serap tells Tinubu. Quite a terrible one. Well, those are the headlines from the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, then. Let's look at the first newspaper with the window headlines. Okay, just beside the masthead, you have ex-Imo Governor Udenwa. Leadership in Nigeria, but not end. And I'll celebrate you when you properly join AP, that's Akpabio, to Governor Oti of Abia State. Nigerian Senate faces global shame over Akpabio Natasha scandal, ACF, that's our Consultative Forum. Bandits tighten grip on Zamfara, kidnap 5 APC chieftains. Now, 33 world leaders rally behind Zelensky after tense Trump clash. Now, the big story. Fubara defies odds, moves for Fresh Rivers LG polls. With the riders, governor vows to uphold rule of law despite Supreme Court setback. Orders immediate takeover by HLG Ace. Sets March 3, deadline 4, local government chairman. There are more stories there. Nigeria drowning in tears, blood, Anglican Church warns. And CAN, that's Christian Association of Nigeria, films over Ramadan schools closures, threatens legal action. Now there's a picture there of Senate President Godswill Akpabio, flanked by Governor Oti, and behind him is Okoye of Anambra State and Akobondo of Abia Central. It's like people that are fiddling when Rome is born in Nero, Neros of Nigeria. Oh well, LP slams Valentine Ozibo's defection to APC as betrayal. And that's all from the First News newspaper.
And to The Guardian we go. 2025 budget. Bloated 41 trillion naira revenue target stokes fresh fiscal deficit concern. IBB's June 12 account, too little, too late. June 12, Olanipekun berates Babangida for not apologizing to Abiola family, Nigerians, all right? And then the 2025 budget overview, that's there is a breakdown right there. But we'll go deeper into that one during newspaper review. That's at 9 o'clock. Some more headlines from The Guardian. ACF calls for probe over Akpabio, Akpoti Duanha's face-off. Betrayal, politics stalled 2014 confab report implementation, says Jonathan. House moves against oil firms owing FG 9.4 trillion naira royalties. Other charges. You can't play God, Wike tells Fubara as governor pledges obedience to Supreme Court rulings. Dangote absorbs 16 billion naira marketers' loss from price reduction. All right, those are the headlines on the cover page of The Guardian.
Now let's take a look at the Punch newspaper with the, just the masthead. You have Fubara dismisses impeachment rumor. Rivers elders caution FG. That's federal government. Now the big story. Government agencies brainstorm as direct payment suffers setback. That's local government autonomy. I'll take that again. Local government autonomy. Government agencies brainstorm as direct payment suffers setback. You have more stories. ATM loaded with cash as 100 naira withdrawal fee begins. That story is on page 33. Buyers will get 65 naira per litre refund. Dangote refinery. Now there's a picture there of Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and at the background there is former President Goodluck Jonathan. I think it's in Lagos where they went to felicitate Obasanjo on his 88th birthday in Lagos. And talking about Obasanjo's birthday, there was a time that Wole Soyinka, Obasanjo celebrated his birthday, and Wole Soyinka said, how come I am older than Obasanjo? Because when we were growing up in Abeokuta, we used to call him Uncle Shegu. And now I am older than him. Oh well, that's all from the Punch newspaper.
Well, that's how far we can go right now. Because of time, we have to put a stop to newspaper headlines. But don't forget, at 9 o'clock, we'll be going deeper on newspaper review. In the meantime, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll be looking at events in Rivers State. All right? What will the governor do? Will he conduct he has ordered for fresh local government elections. Will he be impeached? There are rumors to that effect. Let's touch on this when we come back from this break.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be.
Particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People, 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VTV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I, from social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. People's Voice, Mondays through Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
Welcome back. Now, Governor Fubara's announcement of fresh local government elections has stirred controversy. Despite aides immediately, with outgoing chairman asking that they hand over power by March 3, which of course is today. Well, Fubara urged the residents to remain calm, but political tensions in Rivers State are high as factions await the implementation of the court's verdicts and the scheduling of new elections. We have joining us in the studio to make sense of it all. We have Barrister Darlington Agumo. Barrister, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Moses. Good morning, Dr. How was the weekend?
Very well, thank you. And we will be visiting our outstations where we'll be speaking with Alhaji Ahmed Evakare. He's in Benin. He's a public affairs commentator. He will be joining us from our Benin outstation. And, oh yes, he joins already. Good morning to you. Great to have you. I'm sure they will fix your microphone or, better still, unmute you when the time is right. From Port Harcourt, we are being joined by Mr. Stanley. Oh, that's the name we have here, Mr. Stanley. Probably will tell us his last name when he joins. Now, he is the immediate past chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, Rivers State. Good morning once again. If he's in, let's make contact with him. But anyway, let's start off with Barrister Darlington with us in the studio. I would love to hear from Mr. Stanley, who is in Port Harcourt. Probably give us a feel of the atmosphere, the ambience in Port Harcourt this morning. Well, Barrister, the long-awaited Supreme Court judgment on, the position of the 27-man assembly, the 27-man assembly has come, and Nigerians are fidgeting, actually, wondering what will happen in the coming days. Will there be chaos? Will the people in Rivers State, we saw what happened. I mean, it was almost becoming a war zone at some point with explosions going on and then people brandishing weapons. Are we going to see that happen again? What scale will that take as the governor tries to implement Supreme Court ruling? Whether he will implement it to the fullest, we wait to see. But anyway, let's take this video before we get into the conversation proper.
State. We are all aware of the recent Supreme Court judgment and the pronouncement regarding aspects of the lingering political disputes in our dear state. Although we disagree with the judgment, we are bound to obey the order made therein as a law-abiding government. Since inception, we have conducted the affair of government within the framework of our Constitution, due process, and the rule of law. While we are not above mistakes, because we are humans, we believe that we have not, as a government, done anything deliberately to trample on the rule of law or the hallowed principles of constitutional governance. Accordingly, I've had a meeting with my team of lawyers, and they have assured me that the certified true copy of the judgment may be available to them by Friday, the 7th March of 2025. I assure upon the receipt of certified judgment, we shall study the ramification and implement them without reservation to move the state forward. Furthermore, given the outlawing of caretaker arrangements in the local government system, I hereby direct head of local government administration to immediately take over the administration of the 23 local government council, pending the conduct of a fresh election by the Rivers State Independent.
All right, there you have it. There you have it. I will want to take it from there. That's paragraph 7 of his speech there, directing the caretaker, directing the local government administration to take over of the 23 local government. Barrister, let's take it from there. That directive.
Yeah.
Where does that put the reinstated local government chair? You know, the ones that the PDP local government chairman, because they were jubilating after the judgment. I could remember seeing one Osike, jubilating. Where does that put them?
It doesn't put them anywhere, because the court did not say that they should go and take over the local government. It said there should be an election. Yeah, since the election that brought these other people has been nullified. The only other thing is null and void until a fresh election.
No, the court reinstated those local government chairmen. Those ones that I think their tenure was almost winding down, but they have been reinstated, and then nullified the local government elections that were held because it wasn't held according to due process.
Moses, you see, there is something you don't even know how to begin to analyze it because of the way it came. Look, I was thinking that the Supreme Court should have learned a lesson. I'm telling you, I was thinking they should have learned a lesson instead of throwing Nigeria into confusion. You remember what happened in 1979, where this type of judgment was issued against Shagari and Awolowo. But the Supreme Court, realizing their mistake, now told everybody, including lawyers, that nobody should quote judgment anywhere in our law court. What does that tell you? That means that judgment was defective. In fact, Graham Douglas later explained that they couldn't have done otherwise because there was political tension. So your judgment is now guided by the powers that be. That's exactly what is playing out in Rivers State. Because what the Supreme Court have just done is to create anarchy. I pray that Fubara will navigate it.
Okay. All right then.
Because confusion cannot be managed in this manner.
Okay, I see. It's really difficult to analyze because this is very confusing. Well, let's go to Rivers State, Port Harcourt precisely, where Stanley is standing by. Stanley is the immediate past chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, Rivers State. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother, and good morning, Nigeria.
Good to have you join us this morning. Give us a feel of what the ambience is like in Rivers State this morning. Is there tension in the air? Are the people apprehensive? What exactly is the feel of things in Rivers State this morning?
Well, for this morning, the place is calm. We've not heard anything. Well, it's too early in the day to conclude. Before now, we've heard from former council chairman, elected council chairman, that their tenure has ended. Some of them said they are going to resume work, and we don't know what will happen if they do that.
How can they resume work when they're
so for now, we've not heard anything.
All right.
That is what Rivers people are worried about. Even at that, they said the State Assembly has the power to make laws that governs the local government. Fine, that nobody's in doubt about that. But elongating the tenure of chairman, I don't think is within the powers of any assembly. And apart from that, the issue has also been trashed by a competent court of jurisdiction that says that for issue of elongation is no, no, no. And so we don't know if they go ahead to resume work, maybe that is where the crisis will start. But for now, we've not heard anything.
All right,
there
you have it.
Okay, Stanley, let me stay with you. The situation in Rivers State, you said you don't know, you cannot tell for now. But there are rumors of impeachment flying around. Do you, as a journalist, do you have any inkling whether the 27 lawmakers are making arrangements to start plenary this morning? Do you have an idea? Because the governor has come out and said, look, the impeachment rumor against me is false. It's not going to happen and all of that. Has he been able to mend fences with the 27 lawmakers? And is there any sort of rapprochement between him and the former governor, who is now FC minister? I would like for you to walk us through what exactly is, the sentiment, the pulse of the people around Rivers State at the moment.
Well, making fences, the judgment just came up on Friday, and this is the first working day after the judgment. As for making of fences, well, if it is done privately, we've not heard about it. But I can assure you that the issue of impeachment will not be easy for them to carry such action. They might have it in mind, but the Rivers people are completely against it. So that is also one area that could create crisis. Okay. The issue of resuming work as former council chairman and the issue of impeachment. If they come up with this, that is when Rivers State will boil. But I can assure you that more than 90% of Rivers people are with the governor, because they were not happy with the way their master in Abuja ruled Rivers State for 8 years. Although when the election of Fubara came up, a lot of people that are supporting him now never supported him because he was sponsored by the former governor. But the moment he now fell out with the former governor, Rivers people now joined him. Of course, the election, if it was a free and fair election, the present governor wouldn't have won the election because of the support of the former governor for him.
Okay.
So, but the Rivers people were happy that the two of them fell out, and they are now fully in support of him. So if they go ahead to initiate impeachment, that is where the crisis will start.
Do you think that the 27 lawmakers or that Wike will give, do you think they will care what the people think? Because looks like if you say clearly that the Rivers people are against it, it doesn't look as if, it doesn't seem like the Wike are interested in understanding how the Rivers people feel. Because if they did, I think they will have, put back their daggers in their sword. So when you say that, look, the Rivers people are against it and it's not going to happen, I want you to tell us, if the other people, do you think that they care? They give a hoot about what happens, so long as they are in power?
Well, what I'm trying to say is that except they will carry out the impeachment outside Rivers State, But if it is within River State, I can tell you that the people will make the atmosphere hot for them. It will not be conducive for them to carry such an action in River State. I can tell you that. Except they go to Abuja, go to another place and do the impeachment, and it will be implemented in River State. But for them to sit in River State and impeach the governor in the land within the space of River State, it will be difficult. That is what I'm trying to say.
All right, then. Thank you
the
very much.
The people will resist it.
Thank you very much, Stanley Joe. Thoughts there. But stay with us, as we'll come back to you shortly. Let's quickly run to Benin, where Alhaji Ahmed is standing by. Alhaji Ahmed, first, let me get your thoughts on all of this, everything that's been happening since Friday. When you first heard that news, what came to mind?
Thank you so much. Good morning. I guess you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you so much. So far, so good. The judgment from the Supreme Court, I wouldn't see it like a judgment anyway, because if you follow up the issues that the Supreme Court based their judgment upon, they have their own, fact that yes, these the last local government election conducted by Siminalayi Fubara didn't follow the due process, like the issue of voters register and all sorts of. So, and going by that, they stood by saying the local government election should be known. I don't appreciate Siminalayi Fubara for acting like a gentleman by saying, yes, no one is bigger than the Supreme Court. That's the last final bus stop when it comes to Nigerian law. He said you have to wait in judgment day for you to now appeal that to the God Almighty. So, having said that, he has also agreed that those LGA chairmen should hand over their powers to the Holga. Yes, fine. The next line of action is to conduct another election. Yes, and it's still going to be conducted by the Rivers State Electoral Commission, and it's still going to be managed by him, the same governor. So I don't really see any too much challenges in that place. Simple will still come back to power as long as the election is going to be conducted by the Rivers State Electoral Commission. The only thing that will not be there is that Fubara will not have to follow the due process, right to INEC, House of Assembly, and for the voters register and all sorts to be provided, and a due date given, and then the election take place. So with that, the local government election issue will be a thing of the past. As for the past local government chairman, though I also listened carefully, said this true, the certified true copy of the judgment is awaiting it. Likewise, Nigerians as well, like me, we're also waiting to study to actually not know if there's anything have to hint those other chairmen for their coming back. But from what I've heard is there's nothing concerning the chairman for them to come back. So theirs is gone and theirs is gone forever. They should go and join the race if they wish to contest for the next election. As for the impeachment issue, I support Mr. Stanley 100%. In fact, with my little knowledge in politics, I've never seen any governor impeached in this country. Peter Obi that was impeached, the impeachment never went through, because the chief judge of the state have a role to play before an impeachment can be 100% successful. Like the one that happened in Edo State when the deputy governor was impeached. It's because the chief judge and other key players, they were all in the same page. And that is why the whole thing went smoothly that way and the impeachment took effect, even though the court later also reversed it, as the case may be. So now, in this case of Rivers State, the chief judge have a role to play. And the chief judge, I have not had any rumor from anywhere that he's winning and dining with Winky. So definitely he's also the employee of Siminalayi Fubara. So he will always stand firm with Siminalayi Fubara. If the 27-man led House of Assembly by the newly reinstated speaker chooses to start that kind of movement, it will be an effort in futility, and it will only tense up Rivers State, and in fact it will slow down governance. But for Siminalayi Fubara, his 4 years is guaranteed. He's going to spend his 4 years, but I can't tell if it's going to continue after 4 years. But for that impeachment issue, a forgotten aspect. Thank you.
Alhaji Ahmed, let me stay with you. I like the fact that you brought us to this point where you are talking about impeachment, whether the Rivers people are going to resist it. I want to draw your attention to how Alami Esiaha was impeached. Remember dear prayer Alami Esiaha? You also remember Joshua Dariye that was also impeached. And a couple of, which other governor was that? You know, all of them were impeached outside their states. And if you look at the kind of thing that is happening or has been happening recently in Nigeria, I mean, with regard to the Minister of FCT throwing his powers around from the FCT outside Lagos, outside of Rivers State, do you rule out the fact that an impeachment could happen outside Rivers State and it will get into effect, it will take effect. Do you discountenance that?
Like as you said, there's possibility that may take place, but the last people that I know are not cowards, and they are not people that you can bully and they will step aside. And I used to have friends during my NYC days. I used to ask them, is it Rivers State that the devil built their house, in terms of the way you guys are always, ready for battle? Why are you like they are battle ready? So the way that such thing, even if it happen in other state, for Rivers, I don't see it happening, sir, because even if Wike uses the federal might that he has, Rivers State belongs to the Rivers people, and they will resist it to the last breath that they have. So it will not happen, because Rivers people are not like other people. They are not cowards, and I've never seen them in the order. So they are always battle ready. The only disadvantage is just that Rivers.
But I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious.
Born, it will slow down governance. That's all.
In Nigeria, I like your optimism, but I'm quite cautious, because the things that we see happen in this country, they don't happen elsewhere. And if they happen elsewhere, those places will be in conflagration. Oh well.
Oh yes. Let's bring you back to the studio now, Barrister. Talking about the conduct of the local government elections, and well, you've heard the other guests. They've said, look, it's the governor is in charge, so it's going to go his way, regardless of what the 27 lawmakers or the ousted local government chairman, ousted and reinstated local government chairman would say or do. But let's not forget that the previous election that was held, the police were asked to stay away, regardless of how that election went. If the police get involved in this one, do you think the governor will be able to throw his weight around and have maybe, is it APC, is it PDP, or is it APP? We will see coming into office this time around?
As long as you and I know, Rivers State has always been a PDP state.
But we know the local government chairman.
Sorry?
The local government chairman that won in the previous local government, they now, cancelled election, were from another party, APP.
Because they said that PDP should not take part. Is that not what happened? And that is why I'm very confused about this judgment from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is aware that the tenure of the former local government have expired. Why did you now say they should take over? Is that not confusion on its own? So, all in all, the state is going to conduct a fresh local government election. And you and I know that the Rivers people are now aware that this is no longer a joke, that it has turned to intimidation, that the handshake has crossed the elbow. That is it. Because I am so shocked that the Supreme Court can give a judgment that market women will not be interpreting. They will not be seeing bias in it. They will not be seeing intimidation. And this does not go well for our jurisprudence. It doesn't.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that is
all right. Barrister, let's stay with the judgment of the Supreme Court. Let's look at it from a political angle. Does it look like you just mentioned the issue of the Supreme Court asking people whose tenure have expired to return to office?
I'm telling you.
Does this look like there's a political angle to all of this? And recall too that the same Supreme Court said that the local government should not be paid their monthly allocation. Do you think, and the president himself had that same issue with former President Olusegun Obasanjo when he was governor of Lagos State. Is there do you think that, okay, like Siminalayi Fubara has called for fresh elections, what is the angle to that judgment?
Look, the political angle is very clear. Whatever they are trying to do to make APC take over Rivers State, it may not happen. Because people are now aware. Everybody is aware of the intention of this judgment. Because how do you tell a local government chairman whose term have expired and who was not even by the law, by the constitution, for elongation of their tenure, to come back? Meanwhile, you have nullified a former election that was conducted. So what happens? Is that not illegality on its own? So all these things that we are now seeing from the judgment, it will not all go well. The political angle to it will not succeed. No matter how wicked and his cohort try, it will not work. That is a fact. Because there was no need for the Supreme Court to go through that route. It's like trying to reinvent illegality in Rivers State.
Okay.
I was thinking that the Supreme Court would have been categorical in the statement they made in the judgment. But how do you ask a local government chairman whose tenure have expired to come back to office? Okay. How do you interpret that?
All right.
Before we go on, let's take a video. Chukwuma actually sent this one. He dug this one out from the archives and pushed it out this morning. Let's watch this video. This video shows Ayodele Fayose making a statement, basically admonishing Governor Fubara in the presence of Wike. I think that was done at the onset of his administration. If we can, let's have that video, because he made some statements there that are quite instructive.
Solution to your problem. So I made up my mind. It is better to be with you than to be against you. A lot of us here, we don't know when to stop and align yourself. The Englishman says if you can't beat them, you join them. It's a very good advice. Me, I join you. I'm with you. And that will be the basis of my advice for the new governor. The last 4 years was rather a tough experience of my life because I didn't have a successor. Let me tell you today, Governor Wike and Governor Fubara, this plane you want to start flying now, I flew that plane before you by the grace of PM. I'm in Port Harcourt. Mommy is a witness. I want to say to you, sir, you came in with the hands of Father here and Wike. I will. The moment your eyes begin to see in this government, you will have problem. Oh. Close your eyes. Those windows, if you can close them, close it. For you to have eternal peace in your...
All right, so there you have it. That video, Barrister is shaking his head. Is that in disbelief or what? Well, he did say, close your eyes. And then he went on. He cited Adam and Eve when Adam decided to seek knowledge, open his eyes, and he started having troubles from then on. What does this say to the governance in Nigeria, where if you have a godfather, you don't, especially one like Wike, and we've seen, I mean, the governor is having troubles in his administration. Barrister, your reaction to this video?
Moses, is unfortunate, seriously. We have surrendered our faith to illegality, and it has become part of our political culture. Look at what is going on. So, you can no longer become anything in Nigeria except you have a godfather. That's what that man is saying. Is that how to deepen democracy in Nigeria? By the way, who made who a godfather?
He was a miracle governor. Okay. The
how did he become a godfather? What is the meaning of godfather here? You will decide who will live and who will die. Abi, what if God now decides to do his own thing? Will anybody be here? You see, when we begin to tolerate this type of behavior, we are heading for doom. Because you can see all the godfathers we have had, look at their behavior. Look at what they are doing to truncate democracy in Nigeria. Such people, should they be tolerated any further? If your position is to destroy, why should I tolerate you? Nigerians should be asking this question.
All right.
We shouldn't be tolerating this type of behavior from anybody. It will not help us at all. It will not.
Thank you, Barrister. Someone said that he doesn't have problems with the bad leaders, that he actually has problems with people who support bad leaders.
I'm telling you,
essentially what Ayodele Fayose, former governor of Ekiti State, did to himself and to Nigerians. Unfortunately, the advice he gave to Fubara is playing out.
He said,
close your eyes, because the moment you begin to see, you begin to have problems. And Fubara is already having problems because he opened his eyes. Now let's go back to Port Harcourt, where we still have Mr. Stanley Job, a journalist, standing by. Stanley, I also, you understand that the Supreme Court also stopped the Federal Ministry of Finance from sending local government allocations to Rivers State. Now, we saw that kind of thing happen between 2003 and 2007, I think between Lagos State and the federal government, between Obasanjo and the present President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, do you think that with the finances of Rivers State, that the state can survive without local government allocation coming from the federation account? Recall that when Wike left, after 3 months, Fubara said, look, our IGRs has increased from 6 billion to 10 billion, or in excess of 12 billion in a month. Do you think that Rivers State can survive without allocation from the federal government?
It will be very difficult. It will be difficult because there are a lot of bills to pay. The salary, there are several ongoing projects, recurrent expenditures, of course, here and there. So how much is the IGR? IGR is normally to support the allocation and not to shoulder the expenses, the total expenses of a state. The IGR fine has increased, is good, but it's not enough to run the states. The Rivers people are not happy that you are seizing our location. What for? Who are you punishing? Is it the people? The people that they form part of Nigeria?
Okay.
And more so that the resources you are sharing, good percentage of that resources come from Rivers State.
Okay, all
and
right.
You are denying them.
All right, Stanley, essentially, by implication, what you have said is that Rivers State is not viable without the federal government supporting it. In terms of economics, the economics of it, Lagos State is not viable.
No, listen.
But it happens to be the second state in terms of IGR. After Lagos, the second state that generates most IGR is Rivers State. If it is not,
get my point.
Okay.
Get my point.
Okay.
Get my point. My point is that it's like, for example, now you work as you have that gives you money.
Okay.
And you also have other sources.
Okay.
And you expenditure you run every month, and one of them is being seized. You could manage with one, but it's not going to be easy for you to just manage with one.
Okay.
It's not going to be easy.
All right, Stanley, I understand your point. I understand your point. I want us, there are two angles to it. The political track and the economic track. Now, the political track is that, look, Rivers State is more like generates a lot of money from their oil wells and all of that sustains the federation. That's the political angle to it. Now, the economic angle to it is about sustainability. If Rivers State cannot survive without local government allocation coming from it, then it's a problem because the state is not viable. Is that what you are saying?
No, listen. What are you saying? See, the thing is that there are things that government collect tax. That is on you collect tax on the number of activities. Then, like I said, who can survive? If it is to pay salary, do all that, but you cannot carry the projects. The projects scattered, dotted all over the states with that only internally generated revenue. And if you stop one aspect of governance, that means it's bad. It's not holistic any longer. Okay. Because fine, salary must be paid. We have at least enough to take care of recurrent expenditure. But what about the projects? It can go round. That's what I'm trying to say. Rivers State is viable.
Okay.
But maybe apart from Lagos, in Lagos, there are so many things that Lagos State government can make money through. There are several investments, both state and federal. Lagos State cannot be compared to River State, because if you remove the issue of oil, you can't compare River State with Lagos. The only thing that brings us closer is the oil, the activities of oil activity in River State.
All right then.
And when we collect tax from many relocated to, so it's not the way it used to be. The businesses are there, but it's not as big as that of Lagos.
Okay. All right then.
You
Thank
know,
you
the
very much.
economy of Lagos can be compared to some.
Well,
The economy of Lagos can be
very
compared
much,
to some
Stanley
country in Africa.
Job, thank you
in
very
Africa.
much
So that is it.
for your contribution there. Let's go back to Benin, where Alhaji Ahmed Evakare is standing by. Alhaji, staying with this question of monies being withheld, allocation being withheld, do you foresee a situation whereby the government in Rivers State might reduce its contribution to the federal allocation as a way of trying to meet up with expenses within the state? And if that be the case, what ripple effect will that have on the FAC allocation that is distributed to states, knowing that Rivers State is a major contributory state to the FAC allocation?
Thank you. Those FAC allocation, let me start from there. The federal government collect most of their revenues directly from the whichever organizations that they are collecting the money from salaries in terms of the taxes and others, and from the oil companies and all. So those ones will not actually affect Rivers State, affect the federal government. But the Rivers State government is the one that will suffer a little bit. I use the word a little bit because the suspension of the account did not just say, for eternity. It's for the period for him to rectify the local government election. And which, if all things being equal, if there are no other saboteurs, maybe within 3 months from now, the governor may conduct another fresh election. And within that short span of time, the federal government, after that short span of time, the federal government can uplift that very band. Then between that period, Rivers State will surely survive the sanction, because Rivers State is the second after Lagos State, if I am not mistaken here, in terms of IGRO, internally generated. So the only thing that will be there is the Rivers indigenes, the Rivers, not indigenes residing in Rivers State, doing business in Rivers State. That's the one that will suffer a little bit, because the government will increase the taxation stylishly. Only the wise will understand that taxes have been a little bit increased, so that the government can be able to pile up some money. And secondly, some of the major projects will now also be put aside for the now till things normalize. But every other things will surely start flowing well. They will surely survive it. If Lagos State could survive it for more than, in fact, a year plus, as the case may be, I don't see a whereby Rivers State will not be able to, survive. The only thing is that federal government is also teaching Rivers State government to become stronger, to become self-reliant. So it has a bad side. You also have the good side. The good side is that the Rivers State government will now have to look inward again and start planning more on how to be self-sustainers. And by so doing, you are teaching them to become self-sustainers, so that tomorrow they can call it at the federal government, we don't even need you, we can also survive ourselves. That's it. Because this fact thing has made some states too lazy, to the extent that they've forgotten the gold that they have underneath them, and then be waiting for the federal government to grip the money for them to move ahead. So with this one now, since they know that money is no longer, every local government will now have to look inward. They will have to look inward to see that, yes, there are certain things within this local government that can actually generate more money. You understand?
Well, thank you very much, Alhaji Ahmed. Well, let's be careful with the language there. So let's not use swear words on television. It's quite early in the day. All right then. But let's touch a little bit on that video. Let me get your thoughts again on that video by Ayodele Fayose. And did Siminalayi Fubara pick the wrong person to fight with? Did he do it a little too soon in his administration? Should he have waited? Should he have waited for maybe the second term before opening his eyes? Or should he have just closed his eyes entirely, just like some governors are doing, to ensure that they run 2 terms? You know, even when there is chaos in the state, they pretend as if they don't know, and people die, and they act like they don't know, just so they can run 2 terms. Should he have taken a cue from governors like that?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, I, for one, I've seen Fubara for actually picking up a fight with Eze Weekend, because with the little understanding I have with River State politics, the Sim Fubara came from the Opopo. The Opopo are minority. When I mean minority, in the next 20, 30, 40 years, if we have to go by the tenets of democracy, say majority wins the vote, there is no way an Opopo man would have been able to become governor of Rivers State, if not that Wike single-handedly said, yes, Opopo man should become a governor, and took all the bullet and fought his way in by bringing Sim Fubara into the government. So for that alone that Wike did for Sim Fubara and Hope generally, in fact, I think Sim Fubara needed not to have even started this fight at all. He would have just listened to the advice of, Ayo Fayose, by just closing his eyes. Yes, we quite agree that, yes, there are so many depths. There are so many things that are not very, very good that you are seeing. But you have to also look again about the other side again that Wike did for you. And with that, you just allow things to be. Then if at all, if there's even any need for you to start a fight at all, I would have just also taken that, I would have also aligned with you that for like in second tenor to start this fight. But starting it this time around, to me, it wasn't really a good idea. But some, again, after discussion with some friends, they also said, yes, it's also good I started it as early as it is now, so that if he's able to have his way now, then he himself will also become another godfather again. That will also be in reverse, is also piloting things again. So this issue of being a godfather is always there. In
this first conversation, please do stay with us as we will come back to you in the course of the program. Now, Barrister Darlington, the Port Harcourt guest just said something that is quite instructive, if you ask me. He said that, look, without this allocation from the federal government, that the River State might not be able to survive. And you look at what happened in Lagos between Obasanjo and Tinubu. Should that be a cause of concern to us about viability of states? I mean, if River State, of all, the second state that generates the most IGR, cannot survive without the federal account, should it give us some sense of worry?
No, I don't think River State will have any problem in meeting their daily expenditure. Okay. I don't think so. If the IGR is now about 10 to 12 billion naira a month, their overhead, give or take, cannot be more than 5 to 6 billion. That is salary, other allowances and all that. It cannot be. So they can still break even. The only thing that may suffer is what? Infrastructural development, which they can put on hold so that the human capital will now move on. Because if you owe salary to people and say you are constructing road and all that, it may boomerang.
Now, if they have the allocation from the federation account and they're able to generate the internal revenue, does that speak to some level of extravagance in running government?
Of course, when Wike was there, you know what was going on. But this man just came in, and then the IGR now shut up. That means an issue. He was cooking the book somewhere. And that was why when people are saying Fubara came from a minority, this and that, Fubara did a lot for Wike.
As an accountant?
Yes, he did a lot for him. All the bravado that Wike is, all the money, it was that man, that Fubara that helped him. He did. No other person from any other region in Rivers would have done that for Wike. The man was loyal to a fault, covered him up and all that. Remember when EFCC came? They even came for Fubara. Okay. But Wike was hiding him.
All right.
Because you know that when they get Fubara, they've gotten him now. That's the truth. Right. It's like what happened in Lagos State. When some people were supposed to, speed the bean, and they were given a soft landing and all that. So it is look, it is give and take. Nobody can come and tell me that Wike brought Fubara. But you forgot that without Fubara, maybe Wike would have been in the custody by now.
All right, then. Well, he's still in government. Maybe when he leaves government, we'll find out if he will be picked up for, to answer questions.
Of course. All of them will be brought to book, whether they like it or not. As long as the criminal act, it doesn't expire. It doesn't.
Probably 30 years from now.
It doesn't expire.
Or 32 years
It doesn't.
from now.
The people that did some dirty job with Hitler as far back as 1946, they are still hunting them up to today. Is that not
All right,
fair now?
So, all right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Darlington. And also, thank you very much, Alhaji Ahmed and Stanley Joe. We'd like you gentlemen to stay with us as we get into the next conversation. Moving away from Rivers State now, talking electricity. Basically, what concerns all of us in Nigeria. Electricity tariff, NLC has threatened to lead mass protest if the federal government increases tariff in disguise, because the federal government is talking about bringing Band B, C, and D slightly with Band A, because the disparity is quite wide. Well, let's talk about this conversation. Let's have this conversation when we come back.
Right, thanks for staying with us. Now, the National Union of Electricity Employees, NUEE, has slammed the planned tariff hike, accusing the Minister of Power and NERC of prioritizing profits over service. NUE's Acting General Secretary, Dominic Igwebike, argues that the tariff increase will burden the general public, despite claims it targets only Band A consumers. Beg your pardon. Now, they demanded the minister focus on improving efficiency and reliability in the power sector instead of worsening poverty with higher tariffs. Well, Nigerians deserve affordable and reliable electricity, not increased financial strain, according to NUE. Meanwhile, Nigerian Labour Congress NL stands against further increases. Oh, well, we still have in the studio here with us Barrister Darlington Agomo. Barrister Darlington is a political affairs analyst and VOP in-house analyst. We are joined from Port Harcourt by Mr. Stanley Job, who is a journalist and political affairs analyst, as well as from our Benin studio, where we have Alhaji Ahmed Evakare standing by. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us. Now, Comrade Ahmed Evakare, let me stay with you on this. NERC and the Minister of Power, according to NUE, are clearly prioritizing profits over service delivery. Do you agree with what NUE is saying?
Yes, I quite agree with him 100% because the rate at which we are having, decrease in power supply, in fact, is alarming. And good, even with the introduction of this Band 18, Band B, Band C, and Band D, as the case may be, we have not even seen the profitability of it in terms of from the users now, not from the bank aspect of the power people, the Ministry of Power, but from users. We've not even seen the benefit of it. I cannot remember when last I experienced 8 hours of power without being uninterrupted within my locality. Even within Benin City, I can hardly doubt if there's any place within Benin that can guarantee me now 18 hours. Probably before this issue of Band A, Band B, Band C, there were some areas who were guaranteed of 22 hours power supply in Benin City. But as I speak with you, I don't think there's any area within Benin that can guarantee you even 12 hours power supply uninterrupted. So to me, they are just after making more money by trying to say, okay, these ones are for the big boys, or these are for this, or these are for that. It's just more money making to themselves, but not service delivery. They should be delivering services. But people, at least, is it a crime for us to have at least 20 hours of power supply uninterrupted? And if that
does it look like, let's look into the economics of it, because if you now say that, look, service is dropping while the fares are increasing, there's a hike. Now, is it about economics? Because you also see the same thing happen to telcos. The moment telcos increase their tariff, we observe a dip in service. Is it about service delivery? Is it about economy? What is the problem actually? Are you able to put a finger on what the problem is? Is it a problem of regulation? Is it a problem of economics? Or is it a problem of the companies themselves, not being able to match, to balance what they give and what they take?
Yeah, it is a problem of the companies which are unable to balance what they are taking and what they are also giving in terms of service delivery. Because as for the TCN will tell you that they have enough power to supply, but the distributing companies are unable to pay for the exact amount that they are taking. So, and with that now, maybe that is why they are not trying to say, okay, let's increase this first, so that as I'm able to get from the TCN, I should also be able to supply, and in reverse, get back the necessary money. But to me, I'm saying it that they are making more profit from it, but rather the services are not being delivered. This power is there, honestly, for them to distribute it. For also, I will have a fair rate of it. Also, going to the telcos, I'm also seeing the fact that it is also the companies that are not willing to deliver the services accordingly to the people. Because if you are telling an average Nigerians to pay for their calls, let the calls go through. I can't remember when last I dial a number at once dial and the number will go through. I will dial, the next the person pick from the other end, I can't hear the person. I will terminate, I will do the second time, maybe I'm from the pieces, as long as it's being delivered. But the companies, they are just, to me, let me conclude that they are just after profit making, not really service delivery. That's what I can deduce from all this.
Problem of regulation. Nigerian government, the regulators are not on top of their job. Is that what you're saying? And what should we Nigerians do?
Exactly. If they were on top of their job, we would have been experiencing all this mess. Some persons needed to have been their license needed to have been withdrawn. If some of the distributing companies are unable to do their job properly, you withdraw this and allocate it to other persons who is effective enough to do this job. If some telecommunications are unable to deliver their job, you withdraw their license. And there are more than 2-3 persons who are willing to queue up and bid, and they will do this thing effectively. So the regulatory companies who don't even know if they have share in all these things, and probably they have been giving fat envelopes. But I don't want to accuse anybody, but if they are doing their job accordingly, how it ought to be, in fact, these people will step up. By the time you have been able to withdraw 1 or 2 licenses from one or two of them, others will step up their game, and whoever is coming to the industry will do the right thing. And that's the essence of having a watchdog, for crying out loud. But I don't think they are doing their job any longer. Let them step up their job so that we have.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Alhaji Ahmed Bakari. Thanks for your thoughts there. Before we come back to the studio, let's quickly stop at Port Harcourt with Mr. Stanley Job. Now, the gap between Band A and Band B is pretty wide. Per kilowatt hour for Band A is about 206 naira per kilowatt hour. And then for Band B, it's 63 naira. That's a pretty wide margin. Do you think that is fair, seeing that Band A has roughly 20 hours of power and Band B is to get 18 hours of power? So the difference in availability of power isn't much. On that premise, the Minister, Adebayo Adelabu, is saying, let's bring the prices, let them be close together. Maybe a lot more people would want to migrate from Band B to Band A. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, even the so-called Band A, we are not having that 20 hours power supply. Where I live in Port Harcourt, the power company said we are in Band A, but I can tell you, we don't have up to 15 hours power supply, and the tariff or the fee is very high. I agree with you. There should be, for those who are in band B, I'm sure they will have even lesser hour power supply. Their fee is also very, very high. The issue of branding A and B and C or whatever, to me, is not necessary. Give Nigerians light and ask them to pay. I'm sure, like I said, they will be ready to pay. But when you don't give light and you just exploit the people, that is the way I see it. You exploit the people, and at the end of the day, you don't render any service to them. You just collect their money. Every day we have issue of people complaining. There are even cases where some people who NEPA or whatever PHE power people that will come to disconnect, angry community people, we beat them up because they are so dissatisfied with their services. You don't bring light. I remember there was a period we had the issue with our light. For about 3 weeks, we didn't have light. But you know that when they brought B, they added that 3 weeks. I don't know. Right. It's very shameful that at this point in time, we are talking about power stability in Nigeria. Why so many African countries have gone past that level? We are still talking, since I was born in this country, we have always celebrated. Anytime they bring light, people will shout, hey, it's an abnormal situation. Well, celebrating when light comes, and the light, few minutes, the light has gone.
All right, then. Well, thank you.
It's very shameful.
Thank you very much. But you see that the jubilation that comes with the restoration of power is what makes us Nigerians. It has helped Nigerians identify each other outside the shores of this country. So that's something that has come to stay with us, quite unfortunately. Barrister Darlington, let me ask you this question. Should Nigerians be compelled to migrate from one band to another, from C or B or E to band A? Because there seems to be some sort of machination to compel Nigerians.
Yeah, Moses, even those that are under band A today, they were forced. I am a good example. I said I just received a text message sometime last year. And the text message said that we just observed that you have been having light too frequently. The light have been, the company have been supplying you light and that based on that, you have been moved to band A. Just like that.
Really?
I said the text, I saw it, it's not as if they told me. I said, is that true? And pronto, they started billing me on band A. I went to complain. They say, but you're having like, how many hours of, do I even use the light?
Are you even in the house?
In fact, so I have argued this thing before. Even before now, I have said it that it is criminal. Very, very criminal. It's an extortion for you to be billing people on band A 209 naira per kilowatt. Then the people in band BC, you are charging them 63 naira or so. Look at the gap. I have argued it here. I said it here. That is not fair. To make matters worse, the difference in power supply between band A and band B is about 2 hours. 2 hours. I think band C, band B, they receive 17
18 hours.
18 to a Now, band A is 20 hours. Look at 2 hours difference. And there is nobody who can come here and tell me today that they meet up to these hours. The learned sick, Chief Falana, SAN, he's in court now with them because they could not supply him the 24 hours they promised. He's in court. So what we are saying here is that it's not about billing, because you and I, we have surrendered our right. We don't even care again. Whatever they give to us, we take it. Nobody has asked, did you provide these services? Is it not obtained by tricks? You told us that when you do this thing, the thing will increase, the number of hours you give me light in a day will increase to 20 hours a day. And I did not see it. Meanwhile, you have collected money based on that. Is it not 419? But you will be chasing all these boys who are doing Yahoo Yahoo. I told you that it is society that prepares these things. Because when you are doing this to Nigeria, how can they be happy? You are talking of generation. Look, Moses, you know you have 3 value chain in this electricity, whatever. You have the Genco, you have the TCN, you have the Discos. Now, the Gencos are generating more than enough, about 13,000 megawatts of electricity on record. But the TCN refused to expand their infrastructure to evacuate. That's where the problem is. TCN, which is still in the hand of the government. The government is controlling the transmission company. And they have not been able to expand their capacity to evacuate what the Gencos are generating. And the Electricity Act said that if Genco produce and they could not be able to evacuate, the government will pay them for the difference. So government is paying for the different power, generation that the company could not carry out. That is the problem as I'm talking today. The Gencos, government is paying them for the amount of energy they generated, which they could not, which TCN could not take, because it is the problem of government, since they are in charge of the TCN. So their responsibility is to evacuate those and pay the Gencos money so that they can remain in business.
But they've talked about infrastructure or lack of it as being the reason they can't offtake a lot of this power that is being generated. Why do you think government is unable to, refurbish the equipment? Is there a particular reason? Is somebody benefiting from the payment that goes to the Gencos?
When the national grid was collapsing here, I think that was last year, even into this year.
Yes,
I think the infrastructure they are buying substandard product for PSCN. That the major reason is the substandard product that they are buying. That was the reason they gave us. That means if you go down the value chain, there is somebody who doesn't want Nigeria to see light. Don't deceive yourself. There is a cabal that wants Nigeria to have a constant electricity. Okay. And the government is aware.
All right. Barrister, before we get into all of that, you said something that we generate around 30,000.
13, yeah.
You said on record. What do you mean by on record?
Because that's what they said. That's what they said. It's on record, and they have come out to say it. I don't tell you what is going on. The TCN, why can't the government expand the transmission part of the deal? Because the wire, the high tension we have, is not even super grid. That's why the thing is collapsing. That's when they want to use force. It's like what do you call it? It's like power surge.
No, I ask this question because we have always known that it's been fluctuating between anytime they say we got to 6,000 and now it's 3.2.
That is what they can be able to control or contain. Are you not getting it?
No, I do. But what I'm quarreling with is that figure of 13,000.
Sorry?
At what point? 10,000.
That is what the Gencos are producing.
That's what they said.
That's what they said that they are producing. Okay. And I told you why. The arrangement is that energy must be evacuated. It's like your plane with this thing. The fuel there is the fuel that will move from here to Owerri. They are going to Owerri. Nothing must remain there. That is how it is structured. So these Gencos are producing over 13,000 megawatts, but the TCN cannot, they don't have the infrastructure to evacuate it.
Right. Now, let's look at the issue. NLC says they want to go on, they want to protest if NERC and Discos increase their prices. What's their reaction? Should they go on strike?
Yeah, we are saying that this is even the area they should have gone on strike instead of disturbing the what's it called?
Telcos.
The telcos. I think this one, many Nigerians will join them.
Do you think they will go on strike?
They will They will, because I think everybody will join them because of the implication. If only Secondly, the PSCN has given us what? Prepaid meter. Mr. Okoro, nobody will bother. Is it not when I use the light that I will pay? You use light or you don't use light, at the end of every month, you go and pay money. That is the irony. Okay, if they have taken time to provide prepaid meter for every Nigerian, whether they increase it to 1,000 naira per kilowatt, is it not when I use it that I will buy? Some people don't use their light from Monday till Friday because early in the morning everybody is out. Coming back in the evening, at times there will be no light. So if you have a prepaid meter, will it be reading? It will not read. So they know what they are doing. Deliberately, they don't want to provide prepaid meter. And they are now extorting money from people on estimated billing, which nobody can be able to say, yes, this is actually what I use. They just sit down in their office and give you bill.
Barrister, before we leave this electricity, let's touch briefly on what Dangote is doing. Dangote said, look, I'm going to refund monies as a result of the price increase. What is that supposed to mean? Is it corporate social responsibility?
The man is a businessman, though.
Okay.
He's a businessman. If you go and check how the Rockefellers made money in America, you will not blame that man. When you are running a capitalist economy, don't disturb yourself. Yes, he wants to dominate the industry. With what he's doing now, will you him and go to Port Harcourt refinery that we don't even know whether they are producing anything?
All right, then. But
and the man is trying to be a businessman.
Well, okay, we'll come back to that one and x-ray why companies that lift fuel from Dangote refinery will have disparity in how much they dispense. We'll come back to that one. But let's go to Port Harcourt now, where Stanley Job is standing by. Yes, we know that on record, the GenCos generate about 13,500 megawatts, but then the off-taking is the issue. And the government that has been unable to provide prepaid meters for everybody, according to what the law says, that every household should have prepaid meters, is increasing tariff now using estimated billing. Do you think, what can Nigerians do? I mean, this is multi-layered. What can Nigerians do to fight into their hands and, have what they deserve? Let's also bear in mind that part of the reasons the telcos have increased subscription rates, cable TV is increasing subscription, telcos increasing how much people buy data and make calls, is all because they have been powering their masts and powering their companies by themselves using diesel as against getting electricity from the federal source. So what can the people do differently?
Well, we Nigerians, we are too complacent. A lot of things that happen here cannot happen in other country. I agree with NSC for a strike on this matter, but the fight should not be left for NSC alone. NSC is an umbrella organization for Nigerian workers. Nigerian workers are Nigerians. That is why NSC is standing up. Now, you should not leave the fight alone for NSC. I have never seen, in many cases, where Nigerians will stand up and say, no, we will not take this. Most times, they will leave it for NSC, and they will also be NSC. You are not, you didn't carry out the fight very well. You didn't do well in striking over or going on strike over an issue. At the end of the day, Nigerians will also blame NSC for one thing or the other. Why are you staying aloof? Why can't we stand up and occupy and say that if this thing does not happen, we will not leave this place? Occupy those companies. And Even our lawmakers, the National Assembly people, are supposed to also help Nigerians. Call these people to order, invite them to the National Assembly and give directives. So, we're in our own, we're in a country where an individual pays so much without getting the services of such organization. In our house, we provide light for ourselves because the one is being provided by the like in Port Harcourt, call them PHED, is not enough. You buy fuel to provide light for yourself. You provide water for yourself. You provide virtually everything.
All right, then.
It's only a few things Nigerians enjoy from their taxpayers' money. Maybe the road we ply. So we should not be waiting for NSC alone. We should stand up.
All right, then.
And say that it will not happen again.
All right,
or we will not tolerate what you are doing.
Okay. All right. As we gradually coast home now, we'll be taking concluding thoughts very shortly. But let me stay with you a little bit. Let me just in a minute get your thoughts on the increase in ATM charges. We know that implementation takes effect, and then for every 20,000 naira at the ATM within the bank, customers will have to pay 100 naira. And then if it's outside the bank, like places like the airports and certain other designated places, it is 600 naira for every 20,000 naira. That's a lot. And then if you choose to use POS operators, prices still apply between 400 and 500 or 600, depending on location, for every 20,000 naira. Are we not going to see a lot more monies out of the banks if this continues, and what impact this will have on the economy?
Of course, you're right. And apart from that, I want to say that we Nigerians, we are old.
We are what?
If you look at, we are overtaxed.
Okay.
I said, I'm saying that we Nigerians, we are overtaxed.
All right then.
If you look at the income of an average Nigerian, like for example, the civil servant.
Okay.
How much is his salary? You are tasking the man on various in all areas. It's like giving in one hand, right hand, and collecting the money you added in your left hand. It just when sometimes they will compare us to America. Hey, they are paying this. How much is the minimum wage in America? There was a time I had opportunity to travel to Israel.
Well, unfortunately, we may not be able to take all of that because we're running out of time. We must say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Stanley Job. Barrister Darlington, let's have your take. Same question, and you could also wrap up with your concluding thoughts. 2 minutes, please.
What was the question?
Are we going to see, or what should Nigerians do now, since these charges might just come to effect, come to stay?
Moses, unfortunately, Nigerians have been divided along party lines. In fact, it used to be tribal and religious line. Now, party has been added.
But we all shopping from the same place, don't we?
Exactly. Party have been added. So, APC states, they wouldn't want to embarrass their government. So, whatever you are saying, in fact, some local APC and NSC chapters, they may not agree with you. That is the issue here. Nigeria is no longer what it used to be when the likes of Oshomole and Sumono and Paimoduha, they fought for the Nigerian Labour Congress. Those days are gone.
Right. Okay.
Everything we are doing now is structured on party sentiment. They will all call you on phone. What are you doing? You want to bring down my government, and because of that, you now slow down. So, if only we are speaking with one voice, this thing affects everybody now.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Barrister Darlington. Yes, it affects everybody. Alhaji Ahmed Avakare, let's have your concluding thoughts.
What do you expect from a capitalist system of government? The government that believes that through taxation you'll be able to get what you want. I think that's all. It's very saddening that the poor man is going to suffer from this, and we'll have to think another route in terms of the financial issues by trying not going through the online way of doing business and transferring of money. Instead of going to withdraw cash, you just have to leverage on transferring of money. But the poor man still suffers this one. We have the abilities to do that. What can we do? We'll keep on praying to God. I think that's the last resort. If we have to strike, not solve any problem. I concur with Barrister Darlington. He has already said it all. Is the fact that we ever hold Nigeria to ransom for 11 days again? I think that has gone. We don't have that opportunity again. So we resolve to our faith. We are.
Thank you very much, Alhaji Ahmed Vakare, public affairs commentator. Ramadan Kareem to you. All right then. Well, we'd like you to stay with us as we get into newspaper review much later. That's at 9 o'clock. A big thanks also to Stanley Job, immediate past chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, Rivers State. Well, thanks for coming on the program. We appreciate your thoughts. And big thanks also to Barrister Darlington Agunwo. Barrister, thank you once again.
It's my pleasure.
Well, that's it on the show today. Join us again at 9 o'clock. Newspaper review. We'll be going deeper into the headlines from the dailies. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I am Chukuma Okoro. Bye for now.